people get shot and killed literally every single day, as they're waiting for food. No, I'm not going to let you filibuster, bitch. I'm not going to let you filibuster. I'm not going to let you filibuster. You guys are totally okay with IDF soldiers shooting and killing desperate people.
The Prime Minister of Israel, this has been made clear by Benny Gantz, this has been made clear by Gideon Sa'ar. This war can end the minute Hamas surrenders and returns the hostages. In fact, there's a ceasefire deal on the table right now that Adam Bowler, who's the U.S. envoy for hostages, and Steve Witkoff have repeatedly offered to Hamas. That deal is on the table and has been on the table for the last 2 weeks. The only party that has rejected that ceasefire is Hamas. So if you truly want the killing to stop, if you truly want the war to end, if you truly want there to be a ceasefire, then you would use your platform. We would use campus activists to immediately put pressure on Hamas to surrender. The pressure should not be on Israel. Israel is engaging in a defensive war. I am proud of what Israel has done. Certainly, innocent civilians are being killed, which is a tragedy. But we do not judge the efficacy, the validity, or the justification on a war on how many civilians are being killed. That is not how you judge a war. No war has ever been judged. In the Korean War, 3 million civilians were killed. In Iraq, more than 500,000 civilians were killed. In the Syrian civil war, 300,000 civilians were killed. Civilian death is always a terrible thing, but is a consequence.
Can you name me? All right, Shabbos. Can you name me? Name me a recent war since World War II where the proportion of children in civilian.
Children. Listen, I'm not making light of children dying. That's horrible. It's horrific. I don't like that. But again, my question to all these people is so emotional over it because that's the thing that gets the Piers Morgan, Piers Morgan. Ana Kasparian, Dave Smith, they always get, but the children. And it's like, yeah, it's horrific. It's horrible. Like, no one's sitting here dancing on their grave or saying, ha, it's great. It's fucking horrible. But what's supposed to be done? What is supposed to be done? Like, they're putting it all on Israel. Like, you don't think Hamas has any responsibility on this? And you have Anna just getting pissed off at Israel. But what about Hamas? What about Hamas? Hamas is not innocent here. Hamas is the terrorist organization. They're the ones that are oppressing their own people. I don't know if oppressing is the correct word, but they're not doing right by their own people, and I don't think they're doing enough to protect their own people. They're putting their people in harm's way. What's supposed to be done here? And again, even right now, there are children being killed in the Ukraine by Russia. I don't see freaking Ana Kasparian spurging out about it on Piers Morgan. I don't see Dave Smith spurging out about it. It just seems to only be about Gaza. It only seems to be about Palestine, the Palestinians. Where is there spurging out for all these other children dying?
Deaths has been this high. Can you just give me one?
I just did. The Syrian Civil War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, any battle in Iraq,
did.
whether it
you
was
believe
Mosul,
the proportion of children to civilians killed was higher than it is right now in Gaza.
I just told you all of those wars, and you can
see. And the thing is that people, I'm going to get a lot of hate, and I know I'm in the comments, and we'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're pro-Israel. Are you getting paid by Israel? You're getting paid by Netanyahu?" He's like, "No, no, the fuck, I'm not." But every time I watch these debates, the people that are are defending Israel, they're always so they're giving facts here. They're not just saying no, it's not happening. They're actually giving facts, and then you have the people on Ana Kasparian stuff just being all fucking emotional about it. It's I'm sorry, but that's not convincing to me that your side is right. Yelling and crying and screaming about it is not telling me, oh, your side is fucking right on this. It's just not.
Fact check me all you would like. The reality is, and this is why you have John Spencer on repeatedly from West Point, Israel has one of the lowest combatant to civilian ratios in modern warfare. They're operating in a dense
but I've also had lots of military people who don't agree with it.
Where's your decency, man? Where is your decency? Seriously, where is your decency? Do you not see the videos? Do you not see the starving children? 19 kids died of starvation over the last 40.
See what I mean? It's always about the kids. Do these people not realize they've been manipulated by all the propaganda out there? Oh, look at these poor children. Look at the babies. Oh my God, they're dead and they're starving and all these things. They don't realize they've been emotionally manipulated here. That's why they're so angry and upset about it. But again, it's sad. I don't see Ana Kasparian showing this amount of emotion when it comes to abortions. I don't see her screaming and spurging out like this. Again, children are dying in Ukraine from the Russian-Ukraine war. I don't see her spurging out about this. Why is it only when it comes to fucking Israel?
8 hours. Where is your decency? I get that you're Jewish. I get that this is about your identity. I get that you want to defend your people. But sometimes you...
Yeah, by the way, seen with Ana Kasparian here, she's the same. It's about her identity as well. She talked about on Twitter how her family, I don't know if it was her parents or grandparents or just her ancestors were helped out by the Palestinians, right? They were helped out by the Palestinians. They were great to her ancestors or her family. I forgot exactly, but you get the point. So she's coming from this from a personal standpoint as well. So why is she bringing up that he's Jewish and that he has these things then? Like that he has these ties?
Can't defend the indefensible. How many people need to die for you to be pleased with this slaughter campaign that's currently going on? How many? Tell me. When is it enough for you? And no one is buying the lie that that the genocide would end if Hamas releases the hostages. I'm not going to believe for a second that Israel gives a damn about the hostages, because they've been bombing the Gaza Strip. They've been blocking humanitarian aid from entering the Gaza Strip. That not only impacts Palestinians who are being slaughtered by Israel, but it also obviously is going to impact the hostages. No one is buying this dog and pony show, okay? It's so obvious what Israel is doing here. They're even bombing Syria because they allegedly care about the Druze. It's not about the Druze. By the way, that Syrian civil war, Israel was part of that proxy war that you have Israel part of, the United States part of, Turkey a part of. All sorts of countries were involved in that proxy war. It was absolutely horrific. And now, of course, Israel is taking full advantage of the situation to annex more land from Syria again. But anyway, continue. Tell me where your human decency is.
I have to say, as someone who grew up on the far left, actually watching you, Anna, and Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks, it's very, very sad for me personally to see just how far gone politically you have become.
I don't care.
Audible discharge is not. Excuse me. Stop interrupting. Audible discharge.
Yeah, Anna, stop interrupting. A strong, independent Jew is talking, Anna.
Is not a usurpation of a coherent argument. You simply saying that I'm using my Jewish identity. This has nothing to do with my Jewish identity. It has to do with politics.
It is about your Jewish identity. Literally, everyone in the international community sees this for what it is, and you can't. You can't. How many people need to die?
You know, again, you are double my age. I encourage you to use the decorum of a 7-year-old and stop interrupting. You every other host. Kindly just shut up.
No.
Holy shit.
I don't care about decorum.
Anna's husband, if you're out there taking notes, this is how you need to deal with her. You know, next time she gets mad at you for not being able to find the ketchup and having her go find it, and she starts yelling at you like this is how you handle it.
When we're talking about endless
all right, but you must let him answer.
That we're paying for.
All right, but Anna, look, you must let him answer.
Okay, go ahead.
So again, this question of how many civilians? No one asked that question in World War I. No one asked that question in World War II. No one asked that question in the Korean War. No one asked that question in the Vietnam War. No one asked that question in Iraq and Afghanistan, because you do not judge the efficacy, the validity, or the justification of a war depending on how many civilians are killed. If you truly want to end the killing of civilians, then I would urge you to use your platform and use the Young Turks to advocate for a ceasefire, the expurgation, the dismantlement of Hamas.
Don't tell me what to use the Young Turks for.
All right, let me go. All right, let me go to Gideon.
Give a voice to the voiceless, the powerless.
Okay.
Not to people who have all the power in the world and use it to slaughter innocent people.
Okay, let me come to Gideon. Be waiting. Let me come to Gideon, please. Everybody knows how much I enjoy my tea, and I'm very happy to.
I'm British and I love my tea. That's why you go to pick tea. Some people out there are pick me's. Well, now you could have pick teas. It's delicious. I love it. I have it with my, what is it, scrumpets or crumpets, whatever they're called over here in the UK. I have it with my beans and toast. It's delicious. Enough with you've had the pick me's, now have pick teas.
Gideon, it seems to me the problem with those like Shabbos trying to defend all this and saying how pleased they are with it all is that you've also got people like Smodrich in the Israeli government, the finance minister, one of the key members of that government, very openly talking now about a form of ethnic cleansing, where all the Palestinians, in his words, would be cleansed from Gaza. And this is clearly, it seems to me, becoming ever more obviously what the bigger plan may be here, which is that actually Israel's defense forces make it so uninhabitable, Gaza, by just blowing it all to pieces, that actually they say, well, you can't go back and live there to the Palestinians. You're going to have to all leave. And then they leave, and then Israel takes it over. I think that's exactly what people like Smotrich want, and that is not a form of self-defense to what happened on October the 7th. It's an ethnic cleansing of a population out of their homeland. What do you say to that?
Unfortunately, the problem is not Smotrich. Unfortunately, the problem is Israeli society, which is either supporting or quite passive and apathetical. Smotrich is the face of Israel, I'm afraid to say. He says loudly and in a very vulgar way things that you can understand for many, many other Israelis, maybe the majority, who sits at home, who doesn't watch anything of what's going on in Gaza, who has no interest in what's going on in Gaza, and sits, and then comes someone like our friend in the team now, who is even proud in it. Can you believe that a Jew, a human being, an American, can be proud of starvation, of mass murder, of genocide? I mean, this stage, really, here I remain speechless. I can understand if the Israeli propaganda tries to explain, to cover up, to spread lies, to talk about self-defense, to talk about killing Hamas, to talk about the fact that it's about Israel's security. But to be proud of what we are doing, to be proud of slaughtering 20,000 children, how can a human being get out those words out of his mouth? This is not human. I'm really sorry. Only the Nazis spoke like this. I repeat, only the Nazis were proud of mass killing and genocides.
Okay, well, Shabbos, you should respond to that.
Sure, I'm certainly not proud of mass starvation because there isn't any. I'm proud of the fact that
hang on. The IDF literally for 3 months starved the population in a blockade. There was no secret about that. Everybody saw it for what it was. So I'm afraid you're just not right about that. They only recently ended that blockade. So they are starving the population, which is, by the way, a war crime if you do that.
Piers, do you know how many meals the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation
spare me all this. It's just crap. It's like when I did a list, honestly. Shabbos, I did a list, Shabbos. I did a list. Hang on.
Meals. If you're trying to starve a population.
Yeah, okay, Piers. It's funny because Piers is like, well, let him talk. But I know he's the host. He can do whatever he wants. But come on, Piers, let him talk.
Shabbos. Why would you give them 85 million meals in the last month and a half?
I know. They're all overfed. I know.
Why is there more aid going into Gaza post-October 7th than pre-October 7th? I cannot name another war.
And you know the problem, Shabbos?
The population is actually receiving aid from the enemy combatant. That is what I'm proud of.
It's amazing. Look, Shabbos, here's the thing. Unfortunately, you sound like the people who have started to defend the indefensible when it comes to what Israel's government is doing. And I'll tell you why. After all these attacks on Palestinians as they're queuing up for food, the IDF says basically the same thing. Either they were firing warning shots, or they felt they were being threatened by some people, or they've launched an inquiry or an investigation, and we never get the results of any of this. But in the meantime, 1,000 people who are desperately hungry and are queuing for food, even though you say they've got plenty of food, there are thousands stampeding for the small amounts of food that they can get their hands on, even though you say they're not hungry because you've overfed them, right? That all these people are just dropping dead. And it's got nothing to do with the fact the IDF are firing towards them, when everybody knows it does. And this is the problem when you defend the indefensible. It would have so much more credibility if the IDF just once said, you know what, we did. We shot at them, and like you said, you're very proud of everything they're doing. And if they were to proudly own this and explain why they need to shoot starving people who are stampeding for fragments of food, maybe we'd all take a lot more seriously the other claims they make. And the other point I'd make, Shabbos, is when you now just tell me I'm talking nonsense and they're all overfed and no one's getting killed and it's all on her.
Well, I don't think he ever said they're overfed. He's just saying that they're supplying a lot of food.
Hamas. To this day, the Israeli government refuses to let any international media into Gaza. And it's not because of the quaint notion that they're worried about the safety of journalists, because they've killed over 200 Palestinian journalists. They don't care about the health and safety of journalists. And it's not their business to decide about the safety requirements of journalists. It's the business of the organizations that employ them. But until Israel's government allows foreign media into Gaza to verify its endless, in my opinion, utterly disingenuous statements, then no one should believe a word they're now saying. Because why should we? Why should we? Why should we believe anything that the Israeli government is saying about any of this when they don't want the world's media to see it? After October the 7th, what was the first thing they did? They brought the world's media into the kibbutzes to see the full horror of what Hamas did, to verify the truth. But they won't apply that same thinking to verifying the truth in Gaza. And as a journalist, I know why they don't want to do that. They don't want people to see the truth. They're hiding the truth. That enables them to lie with impunity and to discount any responsibility for anything they're doing.
So is this like a conversation, or is this just monologuing at people? Like, okay, Piers, we get it. Israel bad. Can we hear what this dude has to say though? I want to hear both sides of the conversation. Like, I don't fucking know everything that's going on there, but I want to see both sides of the conversation here. But these shows, they're just coming on to lecture people about, if you don't think Israel's evil for what they're doing, then you're a terrible person, and I'm going to yell at you. You know? It's like, come on, guys. Speed it up, Piers. We get it.
And if I sound angry about this, it's because I'm bloody angry about it.
You know, and the thing is, again, I will say I said before, I'll say it again, like the Hamas, like all this, that they put out propaganda too. These terrorist organizations, they know how to propagandize people. They know how to do that. They know how to pull at the people's heartstrings. How do you think they get people to sympathize with their cause in the first place? Even people over here in America want to join like Hamas or some of these other terrorist organizations. How do they do that? Like, why do they want to join over there? What? Because the benefits are good? No, it's because these organizations, they know how to propagandize people. They know what to put out there to tug at your heartstrings and stuff. And that's what's going on here. That's why all these people are so damn emotional about this. Something that's going on way over there. There's children dying and suffering over here. I don't see Ana Kasparian spurging out over here about that stuff, but something that's going on miles and miles and miles away. Oh yeah, they're going to spurg out all day and have these emotional breakdowns over it.
It, because it's so obvious that they don't want people to see the truth. And you can sit here and you can say till you're blue in the teeth, there's nothing going on that's wrong. There's nothing to see here. It's all on Hamas. No one's starving.
It is on Hamas. I've also said this too. Maybe it's not all on Hamas, but I don't think we should just be lecturing Israel on all this stuff. Even if Israel were to stop right now and be like, all right, ceasefire, we're not going to shoot anymore. Who do you think is going to be the antagonizing party in the future? Okay, let's say ceasefire, peace, we're good for now. In a few years, who do you think is going to be the antagonizing party? Do you think it's going to be Israel? Do you think it's going to be Hamas? My bet's on Hamas. But you know what? These people seem to forget that.
No one's shooting anyone in food aids. No one's doing anything wrong. This is the most moral army in the world. Well, okay, so let the journalists in and we can see for ourselves just how true that all is.
So after listening to that disquisition, let me say this. You're certainly entitled to your opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. I agree with you. The Israel Foreign Ministry and the Israel Defense Forces should let journalists like yourself, Piers, not only into Gaza, but also into the Kerem Shalom border crossing. So you can see with your own eyes, the way I have seen, the more than 800 humanitarian aid trucks that were going into Gaza on a daily basis. I never once said that
why are they stampeding for food? If they're so overfed.
Okay. Maybe I missed something. I kind of got distracted a little bit. Did he say anything about being overfed? Where is Piers getting this thing?
The more than 800 humanitarian aid trucks that were going into Gaza on a daily basis. I never once said that
why are they stampeding for food? If they're so overfed, why are they
dude, like, let this dude talk. Like, again, what is this? Is this Israel bad show? Small hat people bad show? Or is this you just bringing on people to lecture at them and bringing on people to yell at these people? Like, just let them talk. Are you interested in having a conversation or just lecture and grandstand?
I'm pleading for food.
Piers, I defend you constantly. You are not an anti-Semite, obviously, but I do understand why people have trepidation coming on your show, because they allow you to speak for 5 minutes, and the moment I try to make a point, you interrupt.
Exactly.
So if you allow me just 2 minutes to make my point, and then you can tell me why my opinion is wrong.
Okay.
Just make your point.
Make your
Stop
point.
crying about it.
No, that's a valid thing to say. It's fine. I don't want to keep interrupting people. That's fine. Go on.
I appreciate it. Let me say as follows. I agree with you. Journalists should be allowed into Gaza. I imagine, though, the Israeli position is, well, we can't allow journalists into Gaza because if the accusations from individuals like Piers Morgan or Ana Kasparian is that we are killing journalists indiscriminately, and then journalists were to end up being killed because Gaza is an active war zone, you can imagine what that would do on the PR front. Never mind the fact that British military rule does not allow journalists into active combat zones. So what you are saying is we should apply a double standard to Israel, that they need to allow journalists into an active war zone, but no other Western country needs to follow the same procedures. Even with that double standard, I would concede that point. I agree journalists should be allowed in.
What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right.
What if you could stop paying your mortgage payment entirely? We'll go to American financing. Hey. All right.
As for starvation, I never once said that people are being overfed. I never once said that what the IDF is doing inherently all the time is good. What I am saying is the IDF has taken measures that no other Western country has ever taken in modern warfare. The fact that they drop leaflets on buildings telling civilians to evacuate because there are no...
Well, yeah, that's another thing. They dropped the leaflets, and he's going to finish.
Hamas entities in those buildings. The fact that they have provided more aid into Gaza post-October 7th than pre-October 7th is something I'm very proud of. And if you believe that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is not doing enough...
The fact that they shoot at people as they're waiting in line...
So, Anna, what are you saying? That they're providing aid? What, they're just, oh, here's aid, here's food, and then the people are going there and they're like, haha, suckers! Is that what she's trying to say was what's going on?
For humanitarian aid. Dozens of people get shot and killed literally every single day as they're waiting for food. No, I'm not gonna let you filibuster, bitch. I'm not gonna let you filibuster. I'm not gonna let you filibuster. You guys are totally okay with IDF soldiers shooting and killing desperate people waiting for humanitarian aid. You're okay with that. I find it so unbelievably evil. Unbelievably evil. It shocks my conscience and my soul that people as evil as this exist in this world. Okay? Watching these images, looking at these videos, seeing all these kids desperate, hungry, parentless, trapped in Gaza. And you're sitting here and you're defending it. I can't stand it. I can't listen to it. The filibustering is unbearable. It's unbearable.
And what I tell you what,
I can't take it. How can you watch all those kids die?
Okay, let me bring Gideon back in here.
Will you call out Hamas right now to surrender and release the hostages? Do it. Do it right now. Say,
I called out Hamas. I called out Hamas from the very beginning. I've got no love for Hamas. It's a terrorist organization. What they did was wrong. I cried over the atrocities that they engaged in on October 7th.
That's great. He's like, no, you didn't. Yeah. Do you really expect to believe that she sat there and cried about it?
You know what's so disgusting? You want to? Yes, I did. You should watch The Young Turks. That's when you'll see.
Oh, I did it on camera. You should see. I cried about it on camera, huh?
Exactly what I had to say about Hamas after October 7th. I even trashed
oh, damn.
elements of the left who refused to criticize Hamas for what they did. Okay, so you don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to that issue.
Okay, you made that clear.
But you can't on one hand,
you
can't on one hand talk about the injustice of what Hamas did and then turn around and say it's okay if Israel does it times 1,000.
Okay, let me
It would have been perfect if right here after this, if there was an ad read for like Midol, and it's like, when you're spooking out on TV over Israel, why don't you, it might be that time of the month, have a Midol.
Bring Gideon back in here. Gideon, my big issue, other than the slaughter of so many civilians now, which seems to be almost accelerating now on a daily basis, with no control valve at all. Now we have a full new wave of ground invasion. God knows how many more civilians are going to get killed with this. But my real problem is, what is the supposed goal here? Right? I believe Smotrich when he says he wants to cleanse Gaza of Palestinians. Okay. But how does any of this make Israel safer? How does any of this help Jews around the world who want to get on with their lives and not have to feel threatened when they walk out of their front door? How does any of this do anything but what the critics of it, including allies and friends of Israel, say is just fomenting the hatred, fomenting the ideology that Israel just wants to kill all the Arabs it can, which I don't believe is what they want to do at all. But I do believe that out of what happened October the 7th, there's been a collective meltdown of common sense from Israel's government. And they're now just on a never-ending rampage with no apparent goal, which makes any sense to anybody else.
So what does that mean? No apparent goal. So let's say if Israel were to successfully, let's say, take out the Hamas leaders, right? Just take down Hamas. What, you think they're just going to keep going and like, yeah, might as well. Hey, we're here. And just keep going and causing an actual genocide or something? Like, what does he mean when he says there's no goal in sight? I think the goal is to take out Hamas and to get their hostages back.
Here we differ, Piers. I used to think like you until the recent weeks. Now I'm so deeply convinced that there is a goal, a very clear goal. And the goal is the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. It is systematic, it is well planned. And listen to what I have to say. All the Holocaust in history started with moving populations and concentrating them in one concentration camp. Israel is doing it by the time we are talking now. Secondly, Israel is destroying the Gaza Strip systematically. It's not anymore a building here, a headquarters there, a school here, a shelter there. No, it's systematic destruction with huge companies who do it for a lot of money. Destruction of Gaza, which will make it unlivable.
What is this picture back here? I have books. What is this? I'm not alone. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some deep meaning behind this, but this just looks like lefty art. You know, that great, amazing leftist art that they have. You know, the ones that they just duct tape bananas to walls, and that's art. I have books. Yeah, I wonder if you got it from some kind of lefty fair.
We want Gaza to become unlivable in order that the Palestinians will leave Gaza. Stop thinking that there is no goal. The goal is crystal clear now. I don't know if it will be achieved, but it is crystal clear, and it's not Smotrich. It's not only Smotrich. It's the army, it's the government, it's big parts of Israeli public opinion.
Yeah, it's funny is that usually people, when they want like you to know that they read or think that they read, they have like a bookshelf of books. That guy just decided to post a picture that just says, I have books. Just straight to the point.
Destroy Gaza, make it unlivable, to push them to the southern part of the Gaza Strip, to put them in concentration camps in which they will be longing to the days that they were starving in the Muasa and in other places.
I gotta change my background. I should just have a background that says a picture that just says like I read books or something, or I am smart, you know?
Places, because life there will be much more of the hell. And then according to the plan, and they said it, whoever will want to leave will be able to leave to other countries. So we are watching, by the time we are talking now, a horrible plan, a satanic plan of ethnic cleansing of Gaza. There is a goal, it's very clear, and the world has to do something immediately to stop it before it will be too late.
Shabbos, would you like to see the Palestinians out of Gaza? Do you agree with Smotrich?
Absolutely not. And I'm very proud of the fact that when I was living in New York City, I drove 4 hours to Washington, D.C. pre-October 7th to protest Bezalel Smotrich. Bezalel Smotrich represents a fringe minority of the Israeli populace. One of the trade-offs of living in a democracy, which of course Gaza is not, Iran is not, Syria is not, Lebanon is not, Jordan is not. Israel is the only democracy. And one of the trade-offs is you live with individuals who have reprehensible views. That's what living in a democracy is all about. And I'm thankful that individuals like Bezalel Smotrich are not part of the war cabinet. When you talk about what are the stated aims of the war, The prime minister has stated them numerous times. Right now, an American citizen, Omer Nutra, an American citizen, Itai Chen, their bodies are being held by Hamas in captivity. So when you ponder, well, what are the goals of the war? They're very simple, and they've been repeated on national television since October 7th. Give back the hostages, both the living ones and the ones you have killed, and force Hamas into exile. And instead of putting the pressure on the dictatorial Islamic regime that have obliterated any chance the Palestinians have of freedom of movement, freedom of expression, their own state. Instead, you've put pressure on the individuals who are responding to an actual genocide that occurred on October 7th when Hamas tried to kill every last Jew they could find. I believe in a two-state solution. I believe and I want Palestinians to have their own state in the same way that Jews have their own state. The problem is there is one entity that does not believe in that, and that is the entity that is calling from the freeing of Palestine of all Jews from the river to the sea. So if you are pondering, if you are asking, what are the stated aims? Give back the hostages. Can someone please explain why Hamas has the bodies of Thai hostages, why they took Africans, why they took babies? No one can articulately make a rational claim for that, and no one can articulately make the claim as to why Hamas thought it would be a good idea to slaughter innocent civilians on October 7th and then assume there would not be any military response.
Well, no, I think you're missing what I would say. Well, hang on.
Piers, let me just say one sentence.
Yes, please do.
I bet Piers was going to be like, oh, well, it has to be a proportionate, the proportional amount of violence and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess they just, they tally up the victims and then they go, okay, well, we're just allowed to take out this amount of victims. Like the whole point is to take out Hamas. Does Hamas still exist? Oh, it does. Well, that means the war is not over yet, huh? Does Hamas still have hostages? Oh, they do. Oh, well, then that means the war is not over yet.
The atrocities of the 7th of October were horrible. I was there the next day. I saw it in my own eyes. I will never forget it. Ever since then, Israel committed 1,000 7th of October. You understand it? 1,000 7th of October Israel committed. The children, if you take the numbers, the figures, the way that they are being killed, you see that we cannot claim again and again about the 7th of October and justify with the 7th of October all those horrible crimes against humanity which are taking place. There is a stage in which this is unacceptable anymore. You cannot again and again try to remind us about the terrible things that happened on the 7th of October and the 20 living hostages. You know that every 6 minutes, every 6 hours, Israel is killing 20 people. And
again, all these debates that I see on this topic, the people that are defending Israel, they're always like, they spit out, they're not there yelling. They're out there, they're spitting facts or giving information. And if anyone that wants to come and oppose that could give their own facts and information. But instead, a lot of these people, they just come and they're so emotional about it. It's like, no, they're committing a genocide. Israel bad, my dead Palestinian babies. And again, I just want to ask, like, at what point do you think that you've been emotionally manipulated? Ask yourselves that. At what point do you think that maybe you're just a little emotionally manipulated? Maybe the propaganda got to you,
They are as innocent as the hostages, among them many children. So stop with the 7th of October. It's unacceptable.
Stop with the 7th of October. Stop with October 7th. That was horrific. That was horrific, and that's what started this whole thing. And I guarantee you, even if there was a ceasefire, it would happen again. It will happen again.
To rely only on this and to say the 7th of October enable us to go crazy and to do those crimes. And second point, stop speaking about Smotrich. The concentration camp in Rafiah is the idea of Israel Katz, Minister of Defense, nothing to do with Smotrich. Netanyahu let all this happen. It's not Smotrich. The idea of the humanitarian center or city, whatever, is clearly a stage on the way to transfer them. They say it, not I say. They say that they will be able to get out of this concentration camp only if they move to another country. This is ethnic cleansing, and it's not Smotrich. It is the Israeli government, the whole government behind it.
Shabbos, just to be clear, if it turns out that is indeed what this Israeli government is moving to do, and they do attempt to expel all the Palestinians, out of Gaza, would you categorize that as a war crime? And would you say that Netanyahu and the others responsible should then be tried in The Hague?
To MG42, well, I mean, if they didn't want them gone, well, why would they want them still around? Why would they want Hamas still around and leave their citizens vulnerable to terrorist attacks? You know, the problem is that Hamas also hides behind their own people. The reason why a lot of these citizens are dying, not all of them, but a lot of them, is because Hamas is in these areas where their citizens are hiding behind their own citizens. And if Israel were to just, I don't know, drop a bomb on them or something, then everyone would look at Israel and be like, oh, look at them. See, genocide. Like what's going on now.
Let me be clear. If there is a forced permanent displacement of the Palestinian people, I will gladly go back on your show to denounce it. However, what the co-panelists are distinguishing, or excuse me, what they're blurring, is what has been done in every single war fought in modern warfare, and with what Israel seeks to be doing now, which apparently is ethnic cleansing. If you truly believe, as my co-panelists have suggested, that the Palestinian people are facing a genocide, if you truly believe that they're experiencing a discriminate bombardment, then you would do everything in your power to ensure that the innocent civilian population are safely evacuated temporarily so that Israel can kill the terrorists who have embedded themselves in civilian populations, like schools, like hospitals, like nursing homes. The problem is every time Israel or Western countries suggest doing that, suggest moving a refugee population the same way we have moved any refugee population, it's called ethnic cleansing. So then the alternative, okay, but then you would have civilians living in a dense urban environment where they are exposed to warfare. And then they die because that happens as a consequence of starting a war you have no hope of losing. So it's sort of a catch-22. Either we can safely evacuate them to Egypt, which, by the way, also shares a border with Gaza and has zero interest in taking the Palestinian population, or we can say, well, if you're not willing to safely evacuate them into humanitarian corridors, then you are exposing them to danger in warfare. But it seems like my co-panelists are suggesting that is preferable. That, to me, is something I cannot understand. That is not rational. That is not liberal. That is not justified. We should safely evacuate civilians, take out Hamas and the dictatorial tyrannical regime, and then once the war is finished, you can safely repopulate Gaza with the same civilian population and build Gaza into what it was meant to be when Israel left Gaza in 2005, which, again, to your point of ethnic cleansing, Israel is doing a pretty shitty job of ethnic cleansing when, A, there are more Gazans post-October 7th alive than there were pre-October 7th, and B, Israel has given up Gaza in 2005. They gave up the Sinai Peninsula in 1979. They have consistently given up land in the name of peace. You know how much land the other Arab nations have given up? Zero, because their starting position from 1948 was the eradication of the Jew from the river to the sea. And that's what the root of this conflict is all about, is the inability of the Palestinian leadership to recognize the fruitfulness of coexistence and peace. I believe in coexistence and peace. I believe the war should end. You know who doesn't?
Okay.
Are you going to let him
All right,
filibuster?
fine.
I mean, yeah, what was wrong with what he said there? What was wrong? Yeah, I don't know. Listen, like, again, I know I'm going to get accused of, oh, yeah, you're just an Israel shield. I don't give a shit about Israel. I really don't. Like, I don't care about what's going on over there. But I do think the people that are making huge things about this are the people that are been propagandized by Hamas. They're the ones that are spurging out about this. They're the ones that are going on here and yelling at people about this. And again, like, you know, people look at like, oh, well, you know, like, what about the Israel propaganda? It's like, yeah, well, what about Hamas propaganda? Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't completely know what's going on there, but I know it's both sides. I know it's not just Israel just doing a genocide. You know, who brought it up earlier? MG42 was like, well, if they really wanted Hamas gone, they would have done it already. Okay, well, I could also say if they really just wanted all Palestinians gone, they would have done that already as well. You know, if they really wanted to commit a genocide, they could do it. They could do it. So I think there's two sides to the story.
Final word to Ana.
The same. Okay, a final word to me. Thank you. I appreciate that. If this was really about getting the hostages back, then Israel wouldn't be raining terror on the Palestinians in the West Bank, which is a separate territory, which was not governed by Hamas, but they are raining terror on them. They're allowing these terrorist settlers to run Palestinians out of their homes. They're bulldozing homes. They're building additional illegal settlements. They're openly talking about annexing the West Bank, by the way. So all of these talking points are so easy to dismantle. Why should Egypt clean up your mess? Why doesn't Israel absorb the Palestinian people in Tel Aviv or some other part of Israel if they're so concerned about civilians getting killed? It's because they're not concerned about civilians getting killed. They do want to ethnically cleanse. They want to force Egypt, which, by the way, is having overpopulation issues of its own, to absorb a problem that was created by Israel and the United States. And no one
This is created by Israel? This all started with Israel?
is under this ridiculous impression that this would just be a temporary relocation of the Palestinian people. Why did Benjamin Netanyahu use the Greater Israel map in the very beginning of this genocide? Publicly during a press conference? He did it because this is all about the Greater Israel Project. He believes, first of all, he's totally against the Oslo Accords, has been from the very beginning. There are videos of him from when he's in his 20s talking about how the Palestinians should not be allowed to have their own state, their own right to self-determination. We're not stupid, Shabbos, okay? We're not idiots. We see it clearly. You can say whatever you want to say, and the same talking points are regurgitated over and over again. We're not buying it because we can see the facts on the ground. And Gideon Levy, let me just say to you, God bless you. Thank you so much for speaking out.
Oh, God.
Because I know that there are people out there who have the wrong impression of the Israeli people overall. And I'm talking about civilian people. But there are wonderful Israelis. There are people who have the humanity in their hearts and their souls. They see what's happening. They're against it. Wonderful Jews all over the world, including here in the United States, who are protesting against the atrocities that are being committed against the Palestinian people. So thank you, because it's important for people like you to speak out, to at least provide a counter to the narratives and the lies that provide cover for the slaughter that we're seeing right now in Gaza. So thank you.
Well said.
Thank you so
all.
much.
Thank you all very much.
So yeah, that was Ana Kasparian speaking out on this whole deal. Again, you know, a lot of passion coming from Ana Kasparian because of the Maded. Again, you know, you don't think it's interesting that, again, it's always about the babies and the children and stuff, but there's children dying all the time in the world, in this very country. Again, I don't see Ana Kasparian spurging out over abortions. I don't see her going, oh my God, there's millions of undead unborn babies being unalived every year. I don't see her spurging out about that. Again, there are innocent civilians dying in the Russian-Ukraine war. Russia, you know, outright attacks civilians and such. And so, and I don't see her spurging out about that. But yet, why is it only when it's this whole Israel thing? Honestly, I'm just being honest here, and I know people might get upset at me about this, but I just think it's a hatred of Israel. Again, I'm not coming out here and just defending Israel, saying, "Oh my God, they're fine, they're perfect, they're not doing anything wrong." I'm sure there are things that they do wrong. I'm sure there are. No one's perfect. Nothing is perfect. I'm sure there are things that they're doing wrong, you know. But why is it only Israel's responsibility in this whole thing? Why? Why is it only Israel's responsibility? Is there no responsibility for Hamas? Is Hamas not take any blame in this whatsoever? Is Hamas not hiding behind their own civilians? Is it Hamas that's providing aid, or is it Israel that's providing aid to the Palestinians? Why is it all up on the Israel things? Ask yourselves these questions. How come it's only the focus on Israel? How come there's not more to this story? How come it's not both sides have their part to play? How come is it not that, okay, even if there were a ceasefire right now, what makes you think that Hamas is not going to attack Israel again in the future? How do you know that there's not going to be another October 7th in the future? Because my personal opinion, I totally see another October 7th happening. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They want to see Jews gone. They don't like Jews. They think Jews are evil and they're oppressive. Why wouldn't they want to see Jews gone? And the way they celebrated the raping and the murdering of girls, parading them around, celebrating, cheering it on, that's horrific. I'm not seeing that from Israel. Are you seeing videos of Israel cheering on, holding a dead Palestinian baby, laughing, going, ha ha, look at this, guys? Do you see that happening? I don't. But what Hamas done was pure evil. They were celebrating, laughing, parading around a dead woman in the back of their truck while people cheered on. Is that not evil? That's horrific. And I guarantee if you see a ceasefire, that's going to happen again. Now, again, I feel bad for any innocent civilians, just like in any war. That's horrific. Any innocent children or civilians getting hurt that are caught up in this war, that's awful. That's an awful position to be in. It's horrific. It's the awful things of war. But what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen here? Again, what's your solutions here? What do you want to happen? It's war. It's horrific. It's ugly. That's why we try to avoid war at all costs, because war is awful. But again, like I'm not taking like any. I'm not saying I'm not like, because I know people are like, oh, you're just pro Israel. I don't give a shit about Israel. Okay. But people do give a shit about Israel. You have people that are like, yeah, pro-Israel. And you have people like Ana Kasparian who want to spurg out all the time about Israel. And it's like, I just don't think that I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's just my whole thing. It's like, you guys don't think that maybe you guys have been propagandized. Again, I want to say these terrorist organizations in the Middle East, they're good at propaganda. They literally have TV shows for kids to propagandize them to hate Jewish people. So it's not even just the current terrorists right now. They're indoctrinating young children. That's horrific. That's horrible. I don't see Ana Kasparian or Dave Smith and all these people spurging out about that. It only seems to because Israel, because my Jews, my evil Jews, evil Israel bad, tiny hat people bad. So just question yourselves, guys, with this, guys. Like, just ask yourselves like this. Like, do you think that maybe you just listened to some propaganda? Because none of us, we're all over here in America. We don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I just don't know what the solution is if your only thing that you're getting outraged about is like, what about the children and the civilians? Well, again, it's horrific. We all agree on that. But what do you want to happen? But I don't see evidence of just genocide. I just don't. If Israel wanted to really commit genocide, I think they would just do it. Anyway, what did you guys think about that, huh? Sound off in the comment section below. Give this video a like if you liked it. I'm pretty sure this is going to get a ratioed video, and I'm pretty sure this might not even be fully monetized, but fuck it. I got to says what I says. But subscribe to my channel if you agreed with me. And also too, I have more content like this for your enjoyment. And also I live stream Mondays through Fridays. I forgot to leave that banner up. Mondays through Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time.